This is the Average to Savage podcast with Paul Guarino. Everyone and anyone, athletes, celebs, and much more.
What's up, everybody? I'm back for another episode of the Average Savage podcast. Our special guest today is comedian Barry Brewer. Barry, how's it going?
Hey, going good, man. How are you?
Good. Let's just jump right into it. Could you give us a little brief summary about yourself?
Well, I'm a stand-up comic / actor. I'm actually just got done doing my Chicago screening of my special last night, so I'm in my hometown as we speak. Brought the city out to one of the schools that I'm donating a percentage of the proceeds to Diet High School for the Performing Arts. So I had the screening there for the community. Man, it was dope. So I'm here at home, but I'm a stand-up comedian / actor from Chicago, man. Been going after it for about 15 years now. My debut special just dropped. I'm excited about that. And I got a few things going on, so that's kind of the very quick version of the backstory.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I want to jump into a little more detailed. Like, what was it like growing up in Chicago?
Man, it was fun. I talk about it on my special, actually. It's just about when you're poor, you don't really look at it as poor because you have nothing to reference it to. You know what I mean? So you just made the best of what you had, man. And so I had, a decent childhood. You know what I mean? I always looked at other people's lives as better, but it was growing up on the South Side. You had to fight your way. I got into a lot of fights, but you just thought that was normal. Yeah. And, the cold weather. It's different living in LA now. Remember how I grew up? Like, it was just a way of life. So, but I had a decent childhood, man, on the South Side. Growing up, making the best out of what we had.
Yeah. And what made you want to become a comedian?
I love to laugh. You know what I mean? Yeah. I really love to laugh. It was it's something I always admired Martin Lawrence when I was younger. So when I got a little older, I was about 19, I would just always make people laugh. And this guy suggested that I do comedy. So I was like, really? He's like, man, you're really funny. And so I put my little skit together that I thought would be funny, and I got a standing ovation. So it was kind of just loving to laugh and loving, comedy in general that brought me to comedy.
Gotcha. What year was that when you is that your first show, or you just said you just got up and did like one joke?
Yeah, no, I did a whole skit. I was 19. What year was that? So I think that was 2002.
Okay. And then you just fell in love with it?
Oh, man, instantly. I found something I didn't know I was looking for. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you're 19, you're trying to see what you want to do in life. I was taking some classes at a junior college, trying to, because I was on my own very early on in my life. So, trying to see what will be sustainable, like how can I sustain myself financially. Mm-hmm. But once I did stand up, I was just like, oh, man, this is what I want to do. So I started really, investing myself into it, just dived in. Like, as much as I could get up in Chicago, I would just get up. And then after 2 years of doing stand-up in Chicago, I was like, man, I want to do television and feature films. So I moved to L.A. when I was 21.
So what was that like, moving to L.A.? You're 21, you're trying to get into the acting world, comedian world. Like, how'd you go about it?
Yeah, man. It was a whole new world.
Yeah.
Man, being a young man, trying to sustain yourself. The transition from Chicago to L.A. was a culture shock, because, growing up on the South Side, all around all black people and, not a lot of other different, races. Mm-hmm. So coming to L.A., it's like a melting pot, and it's just a different world. So that was definitely just different for me, and trying to sustain myself and, network and just learning. But it was a good transition. I tried to transfer and go to a junior college just to have something, I think that was stable.
Yeah.
And after the first semester, the theater teacher says, man, you don't need to be here. Just go after it,
Yeah.
This is not going to help you. And so, I just started auditioning, going on Craigslist, looking for different opportunities. Anybody would give me an audition, an opportunity, going to the comedy clubs, asking to get up. I actually became a parking lot attendant at a comedy club to get up at the comedy club. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the Comedy Union, where I host my own show now there on Friday nights in Los Angeles. So yeah, man, it was definitely a lot of scratching and trying to put things together at 21, because I read a lot of people's story before I moved, like Martin Lawrence and Jamie Foxx and Chris Tucker, and how they all went to LA and they got discovered performing in LA. I was like, okay, that's what I got to do, because I got something special, so I need to go to LA and I'm gonna get discovered. and that was the objective. So every time I got on stage in LA, I'm looking for somebody in the audience. I'm kind of waiting around for somebody to come give me a movie. You know what I mean? And I'll tell you a funny story about that. A few years in, Spike Lee was in the audience.
Okay.
I was at the Comedy Store. I performed, had a great set. Spike Lee in the audience, Spike Lee coming up to me. In my mind, I had fast forwarded how this is all going to work. So Spike Lee was the one to give Martin his first start, Halle Berry. You got a lot of people that first started in film. So I'm like already planning that this is what's going to happen. And he came to me and he's like, man, you remind me of a clean Richard Pryor. And he just kept walking. And I was like, waiting, kind of like stalking him from a distance the whole night, thinking he was going to, I was like, maybe he forgot to give me his number, to like put me in a movie or something. Maybe he forgot. That's what it is. So I was like, all right, thank you, man, for the compliment. He's like, yeah. And he kept walking and nothing happened. This is a long time ago.
It's all good, but that's why you moved to LA, because then you wouldn't have had the opportunities like that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a funny story that I guess I thought it would happen for me. It was just not ideal. And that's something I learned too. Everybody has their own journey. You know what I mean? Like how they get discovered, how their opportunities come. Because I've seen that in my career. So yeah, that was the journey from the transition from moving from Chicago to LA.
Yeah, definitely. And I like how your teacher actually said to you not to stay in school.
Yeah.
because like sometimes like nowadays, like, I'm sure like a lot of people are going to college and now it's just like everybody has a degree. So it's like, what does it mean?
Right. Exactly. Because, people you're taught to go to school and that this will help you to get opportunities in the real world,
But going in the real world is better than going into the fake college world, in my opinion.
Right, no. And that's a very true fact in life. Like a person would hire, an employer would hire a person with experience more so than someone educated in that field. I guess the education field just shows you discipline. I don't know, unless you're going for something specific, it doesn't really translate in the real world. My wife has a PhD, and it's funny. She's like, I got all this education. Nobody's ever validated it. She just says she has it, and she does have it. But nobody looks further to see if it's even real. I said, so you could have saved all this time and money and just said you had a PhD.
Exactly. Yeah, it's funny. I mean, not to get off subject, but I went to my old college like a few weeks ago, and I'm just like, this is just like, it's like a fantasy world. It's like not real. It's just like a 4-year vacation, sort of.
Yes. And, and people find themselves, and some people found what they wanted to do in life in college, and it wasn't related to college. So, for those people, I think it was still a success, even if you didn't finish or if it was just you finding what you wanted to do in life. I guess you can look at it that way.
And you said you started out at the place as you were working valet?
Yes.
So yeah, like, that's what people sometimes also don't get. Like, you got to start at the bottom or start somewhere. Like I've done stuff for free to get to another point because I knew, like, if I'd done something for somebody, then, like, it'd get me to somebody else. You know what I mean? Get
your opportunity. That's exactly right. And that's exactly what that was doing, trying to get the opportunities to get on stage. This is the club that Kevin Hart was frequently performing at. Yeah. A lot of other comedians, Tiffany Haddish, because those are like not Kevin, but Tiffany Haddish and Little Rel, these other comedians, they're like in my class of comics. Yeah. So we were all trying to get up at this particular club.
You literally started outside to get inside.
Yes, literally.
I love it.
I wrote a movie about it. It's called The Parking Lot.
Oh, all right.
I wrote it when I was 21 and I produced it. It's a short film I did.
I have to check that one out. So I know you kind of just touched on how you broke in, but like, what's been your like breakout moment? Like, you're like, all right, I've like made it to a certain level.
I think that's right now.
Yeah.
I think you got me right now in that moment. My debut stand-up special just dropped. Chicago, I'm Home, February 19th, and it's on everywhere. Amazon Prime, iTunes, Google Play. It's on demand on all cable outlets except AT&T. And so I think this is that moment that you're speaking of right now. Like, I'm working on a TV show that's coming out in April. I'm on a show on Netflix with Kevin Hart's Guide to Black History. So it's kind of like right in this moment where it's like the defining moment, like I'm here. I'm starting to arrive to where I've always worked towards. So, and it feels great. It feels very rewarding. It's It's been a long journey, but I can see how it was all necessary. You know what I mean? It's really humbled me. It's prepared me for these moments. You know what I mean? Like, I can tell how I'm glad certain things didn't happen for me early on, or I wouldn't have appreciated it the way I do now. I feel like I can handle my success more and be more influential and more effective at this point.
Yeah, for sure. So I got you at a perfect time then. Before you blow
right
up
at the cusp.
Yeah.
Of it.
And where do you usually perform like your comedy shows? And is there any like venues that you really want to perform at?
Definitely some venues I want to perform at. I definitely want to perform at Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
I want to perform on Broadway in New York. I want to perform at the United Center in Chicago, where the Bulls play.
Mm-hmm.
The Staples Center in Los Angeles. I'm a basketball fan, so you'll hear me mention these stadiums, these basketball places often, because it's the places I thought I would go. I thought I would play basketball. So to be able to get there in a different way would definitely be meaningful to me. So regularly right now I perform in Hollywood, at the Laugh Factory, at the Comedy Store. I have a residency that I do every Friday at the Comedy Union, which is off of Pico and La Brea in Los Angeles, down from the famous Roscoe's Chicken and Waffles. But I perform all over. I do all colleges all over the country, clubs everywhere. So I'm just, steady traveling. I just performed the other day. I was just coming from Piedmont College. That's a little bit outside of Atlanta. From there, so everywhere.
Yeah. So what's that like, just like kind of like touring the U.S.?
It's fun. You get to meet people from different walks of life, so it's very interesting. You get to learn other cultures. I think that's the fun thing about it. You really get to see like, oh, wow, y'all do that, or you do that like that. Oh, wow. But that's important to you all. You know what I mean? Like, you get to see these people from different walks of life and how they prioritize their life and what's important to them. And also you get to see how much more alike you are. And no matter where you come from, you kind of see this commonality in everybody, that everybody just wants the best for themselves and their families. And you can connect with other cultures that you may felt like, oh, we're so different. You kind of see how connected you all are. So that's something I really appreciate and like.
For sure. And let's jump into, I saw an article that you're raising money for Chicago schools. So what brought that up?
Well, man, it comes from a place when I was younger, seeing a lot of disparity in my community. Is just where my heart for my community started, and I always wanted to do something. And so as I've gotten older, I always felt like you always wait till you make it to do something, but I'm like, why can't I start now? Yeah. So with my debut stand-up special, I'm like, why not use that as a fundraiser to get money for the schools? And I wanted to help the inner city schools, which is the schools that needs a lot more resources. And so where my screening was at last night was one of the beneficiaries, or will be one of the beneficiaries of those proceeds, which is Walter H. Diet High School for the Performing Arts, which was a school that was shut down and reopened. And it's all in the inner city, dealing with the community and bringing kids from that very, impoverished community to the school. So that's where it started just a long time ago. And this was an opportunity to do something. So that's how that was initiated.
Yeah, for sure. And I know you kind of just touched on it, but why is it like important to you to give back?
Oh man, because I was once that child that was looking for a way out, because I remember when I wanted an opportunity, and every time I come back home and I see kids and the reputation of Chicago, it just pulls on my heartstrings, because I care so much about those people who just don't have resources, and so they resort to violence and other things, drugs, and so it pulls on my heartstrings to say, what can I do to help? So that's why it's important to me, because I want to make a difference outside of just being a great entertainer. I will hope that my legacy is that lives were better because I lived. So that's why this is very important to me, and this is the first of many things that I want to do in my city, but even just overall. And I'm a big fan of Martin Luther King and just changing the world in the most positive way possible.
Yeah, definitely. What kind of advice would you give to aspiring comedian or actor?
Man, be authentic in your efforts. Really work on your craft. Really study your craft, and know that when you get to a level of success, that it's about helping someone else get there, trying to show them the way. those 3 points I would make. Studying your craft, being authentic in that, and when you arrive, don't forget where you come from and try to help someone else get there.
And you said your comedy special just came out, Chicago, I'm Coming Home. And
Chicago, I'm home.
Oh, Chicago, I'm home.
Yes.
What about, who am I? I'm talking about LeBron or something. I'm coming home.
Which I'm a big fan of LeBron.
Yes. So you said it's on everywhere, like iTunes.
Yes, it's on. Yes, Chicago, I'm home. Barry Brewer, Chicago, I'm home. It's on iTunes, Amazon Prime. It's on Google Play. It's on demand on all cable outlets except AT&T Uverse. It's on Vudu. It's on Xbox. It's on a lot of platforms. So,
do I ask you what happened to AT&T?
I don't know. That's a great question, right? Like they were all like, everybody's like, yeah. And they like, maybe not. I don't know why AT&T is. I didn't ask the distribution company why AT&T is not on the list. Yeah. But I'm assuming we want it to be on their list. I'm assuming they just said no. So I don't know why, but they're lost. No worries.
Yeah. And you ready for some fun questions?
Yes, let's get it.
All right. So if you weren't a comedian or actor, what do you think would you be doing?
I think I would be a barber.
All right.
I think I would cut hair because I like talking to people and making them laugh. So I still would do that just in a different way, and it would be something to make people feel good or something like that. Giving them a haircut. I don't know. That's what I think.
Yeah, that could be a good video. Like
what?
You go into a barbershop. And I guess, I would say you would be the barber, but I guess you could get your haircut, and then you just start telling jokes, and then they're like, "Yo, this guy's hilarious! Like, he should be like an undercover thing." Like, you ever seen like the Kyrie Irving thing, and he goes in as like grandpa, and then he's like cooking them, but he's looking old because he's.
But Uncle Drew.
Yeah.
That would be a dope concept. Yeah, I think that's what I would do, and I'm all about entrepreneurship too. So I definitely would be doing something like that.
And what's like one joke that you like to tell like all the time? Or you have like a favorite one?
Do I have a favorite joke? That's a good question. That's a great question. It is a joke I love to do. I haven't did it. I plan on doing it on my next special. It's an act out basically on why I couldn't be a thug. And, because I care too much, right? Yeah. Like I have too much empathy and sympathy that I would rob somebody and totally like give them everything back and help them even more. So I do this whole act out like I couldn't be a thug, and I would rob somebody like, give me your money, and I would get it. And I robbed this lady, right? She has her kids. I take all her money. I'm like, leave. I ain't gonna kill you today. I'm feeling good today. Go ahead and leave. And so the lady's sitting there crying. I'm like, stop crying. I don't care about your tears. And I'm like, why are you crying? Why? Why are you crying? I'm letting you live. Why are you crying? And she's like, her light bill is due. I'm like, I don't care about your light bill, but how much is it? And then she tells me it's like $275. I'm like, what, you got the sun plugged up in your house? Why do you? How is these kids gonna read? I'm like, I'm gonna give you $275 of your money back. Take it and go. And so I give her the piece of that money back, and then she's still crying, standing there. I'm like, why are you standing here? I gave you some of your money back. You should be happy. Leave. And she's crying. I'm like, why are you crying now? And she's like, it's her son's birthday. And so I start talking to her son. I'm like, happy birthday. I'm like, what was you going to get him? She said, I was going to get him some Jordans. He really wanted some Jordans. So I'm like, you don't got enough money for Jordans. You know what I mean? With the light bill and what I got left. I'm like, is he getting good grades? She said he's doing good. I asked him about who he like in the NBA. And I say, okay, he looked like a good kid. So I give her the rest of her money back. And then I write her a check for the extra so she can go get him some Jordans. And I tell her, like, cash it tomorrow because I got to rob somebody else to make that deposit tonight. So that check clears tomorrow.
There you go. And what do you like to do in your free time?
I love to produce music. I'm a piano player. I play keys and a songwriter, so I love to make music. I love to play basketball and watch NBA basketball all the time. I'm a big fan of basketball. I love the movies. I love watching films, action and comedy films. I love spending time with my family, playing games, like spades. Yeah, I love watching Shark Tank.
All right.
It's like one of my favorite shows.
Yeah, I like that show too. I think I asked another actor this before, but do you watch movies differently because you've been in stuff like that?
Sometimes. I try not to watch it because you could be so critical of stuff. Yeah. It got to be a good movie, though. Like, I can't watch a low, like, if the actor's not believable, like, that's hard. I can't watch those type of movies. Yeah. You know, like, if the production's not the greatest, I can get to those. But you got to really bring me in the world with the acting, with the production of it. You know what I mean? That's important to me as an actor. But yeah, I do watch it a little different, but I still try to be a fan and just a regular audience member as I watch them.
Gotcha. I got one NBA question for you, and then I got 2 Chicago-themed questions for you.
Okay, give it to me.
All right. Chance or Kanye?
That's hard. That's so hard because Kanye been messing up so much. Because it would have instantly been Kanye. Because I think without Kanye, there's no
All right, how about we just go based on just music?
Kanye.
All right.
Yeah, Kanye all day. Kanye laid the foundation for Chance to create what he created.
Yeah.
Chance would not be the artist he was if Kanye doesn't exist. So Kanye is he's a genius. He's a genius, literally. He's off, but he's a genius in music. He really is gifted in that space.
Well, if he hears this, then he's just going to get more gassed up because you just said that.
Kanye West all day. But Chance would agree too. Chance would say he would agree. Chance would say, I got to give it to Kanye.
Cubs or White Sox?
White Sox. Because I'm from the South Side.
Yeah.
That's something you'll learn about Chicagoans. Like you kind of connect with the people that's close to you. So I was from the South Side, so White Sox all day because the Cubs are on the North Side. So the White Sox and the White Sox is kind of like the little brother or the underdog to the Cubs, and I always relate more to the underdog.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? I feel like an underdog. Like everybody counts you out, but you come and you conquer.
Yeah, actually, I just saw today that the Cubs are worth half of what the White Sox are worth.
Exactly.
And actually, I had somebody else on, and they're from Chicago, and they just said they root for both teams. Even though I think they were from the north side.
I rooted for the Cubs when they're in the
the
world. They're Chicago, so I got to go for them. But if they're going against the Sox, then that's the only time I'm gonna go against them.
Yeah, for sure. And the last one, you know what I'm probably gonna say: LeBron or Jordan.
LeBron
all
day.
And you're from Chicago.
I'll tell you why. It's more than basketball for me. Like people don't. Let me say this: it's LeBron all day, and this is why.
Well, that's fair. I know.
Go ahead.
No. I get what you're reasoning. Well, you can say it. You can say it.
It's more about LeBron taking his platform and using it for more than basketball. Michael Jordan, off basketball player, he was an amazing scorer. Period. Nobody could stand in front of him, and that was his element. He's a great defender as well, and he led the Bulls to 6 championships. I don't think that you can argue his greatness. I think what makes LeBron great to me is his overall essence in everything. I think he dominates the game in more ways than one. I also think off the court, he really understands the platform that he has, and he tries to make the best of it, and I think that's what makes him the greatest of all time. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, I don't know what Jordan would have done if there was like social media and stuff, but I feel like he doesn't really care about doing stuff in general to like give him back play.
Yeah, he does not. Listen, I've seen too many kids die over Jordans. All right, Jordan has never spoken out about that. Also, I feel like so many people would do so many great things if Jordan would give shoes away. Like if shoes was a thing, right? Like I would give a free pair of Jordans to a student or to a school that amounts to this or that. Like to have that be the goal. Like I just think that would change the face of the community. Like if a kid knew I needed to come to school and do what I need to, and like at the end of the school year I get a pair of Jordans. Oh my God! Like. People would change their whole mindset knowing that at the end of the day I would get a pair of Jordans. So just the influence I think he had and wasn't very, I guess, using that to his advantage and not even speaking out. And it's a video that's out that he says that his shoes were made for white suburban kids. That's why the price range was what it was. He wasn't trying to be negative, but that's why the prices were so high, because it was specifically made for a certain child with certain resources. So those are things to me that I was just like, I'm a young black man from the South Side of Chicago. That doesn't resonate with me.
Yeah. Well, maybe you could start that up with your, like, the giving back in the school system stuff.
Yes, I can. I'm not buying Jordans. I'm gonna give back. I'm gonna give LeBron.
Give him LeBron's.
I don't buy Jordans.
That could be some good press too, because then it's like Chicago comedian actor gives away LeBron's instead of Jordans.
Yeah, that's a great idea. That's a great idea. And then have Michael Jordan mad at me, right? Because he's such a competitor.
He ain't coming to your shows.
He would. And it ain't no love. I don't got no love lost. I think Michael Jordan's Michael Jordan. But, that's just what it is, and I hope that maybe he'll hear it and see it and maybe like, let me do something. Let me get on board with you with that. You know what I mean? Like, I would hope that it would turn into something like that.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Well, I appreciate you coming on, and best of luck in the future. And where can people find you on social media?
Man, thank you so much for having me. First of all, I do appreciate that. I'm on social media. My IG and Facebook is Barry Brewer Jr. Barry Brewer Brewer Jr. Jr. And on Twitter is comedian Barry B. And please, man, y'all go watch the special. I promise you won't be disappointed. I guarantee it. Chicago, I'm home everywhere. Barry Brewer, thanks so much for having me, bro.
I appreciate it.